Warning: Title 17 U.S. Code 512F provides penalties for the deliberate misrepresentation of copyright infringement. The owners and authors of this video, the common denominator, and the Paramistic Broadcast Channel are a nonprofit 501c3 exempt organization and believes in good faith that it constitutes educational fair use, as per Title 17 U.S.C. 107. Persons, agencies, attorneys, and or social media algorithms filing a false or frivolous Digital Millennium Copyright Act complaint may be subject to civil liability. Warning: the following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some audiences. Accordingly, viewer discretion is advised.
Happy hump day, everyone. I hope you're having a good day. As always, I start with I pledge of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America and to the republic for which the flag stands, one nation under Almighty God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We cannot say that enough, actually. And really, I don't know about you guys, but believe it or not, I'll take a moment or try to every day to think about two things in particular. One, of course, is the Pledge of Allegiance. And the other is, if I don't get to listen to it, I just say the national anthem. And the minute you think of in my opinion, when I think about the national anthem, my day just starts off great. Because I think of our history, and like the intro of this program here, I look at our history here in America, and it's been through bloodshed. And I think we've gotten to the point in our society that people are like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to sacrifice. Last week was Pause for the Cause. And the Pause for the Cause was talking about the leadership, or the type of leadership we have in this area of where I live, between Cameron and Gallatin and the Lake Viking HOA, and the people that are in leadership positions. And if you get an opportunity, I ask you to please go watch last week so you can understand why this week's program is what it's based on. It should have been a part one and a part two. I had just reached a point, I guess we all get there. I reached a point where I only had like a 47-minute program. So it wasn't even that long, but boy, the details are there. And I talk about how these people that have the community Cameron Community Forum Facebook page, or the Gallatin, Missouri News and Events Group, or different churches like the River of Life Church down in Cameron, how they all have they're all doing things. They all have basically shady backgrounds. Doug Winters here of the Lake Viking HOA. This guy here has, believe it or not, and I'm going to say this, he's the president of the board of directors of the Home Oppressors Association on Lake Viking Association. He's the president. He's filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. We all have problems every now and then. Then he had in his lifetime 3 civil judgments. Again, we've all had, I'm sure, problems of some sort. But the one that really caught my attention, and I can't say it enough, 7, not 1, 2, 3, but 7. 7 state tax liens. Now, they're all resolved. But if you cannot take care of your financial responsibilities properly to have it go to the courts at some point or other, I have to tell you, the last place I want is for a court to tell me what I'm going to pay, or be in front of a court, because I just don't want to play the game the way the game should be playing, and not trying to just beat the system. So last week's show was called Pause for the Cause. And this week's show is You Are the Cause. So I started to end near where I was talking about David Nixdorf. He hates to be called David, so his daddy always called him David. He doesn't like being called David. I love calling him David because David's such a beautiful name in the Bible, especially. But he likes to be called Dave or Super Dave. I have another term I throw in there usually, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to say this. Super Dave he's a licensed minister, preacher, man of the cloth, whatever that may be. A year ago plus, I can say this now, a year ago plus, it's 12 plus months, we asked him to come to a table at the Kingdom Coffee Shop in Cameron. Shout out to Kingdom Coffee, by the way. Great coffee, great food. Got to go there if you're in Cameron. That is the number one place to go to for good coffee and a great breakfast or lunch. Anyway, we asked David Nixdorf to come, and he didn't want to sit at the table. He didn't want to believe that his friends, notice his friends, Dan Kirscher, who was the president of the school board, and a month later, after I asked him to step down off the stage completely, he just stepped down from being president. I wish he would have just removed himself. He should have set an example of honor and integrity, which he didn't. But at least he removed himself as president. He is a retired minister, and he was a minister for 20 years, retired, and he never does any more ministering. And God is no longer in his life, he says, or so. This is what he says. Yeah, he's away from it all. And yet he allows pornography. Dan Kirscher allows pornography of the school board of Cameron School District, Missouri, allows and is okay with pornography being in books. I don't understand that, folks. A minister who says it's okay to have pornography in books, and it's okay to keep a staff member, the librarian herself, Tanya O'Boyle, who has a TikTok video, which we've got the receipts, a TikTok video that bribes children with candy to literally read the pornography distributed in the library, paid for by the tax-paying citizens. And it's that bad. So here we've got Dan Kirscher, who's a good friend of David's, and David doesn't want to get involved. He doesn't want to think that there's anything like this happening. Well, guess what, folks? It's happening everywhere, even in my little town. And so what does he do? He's part of an organization called the Ministers Alliance Group. I tried to get the Ministers Alliance Group to gather, to come to our table. Heath Gilbert, Dan Landy, Paula Allen, Lonnie and Colleen Harding, they're pastors of the Passion Church. These are people that are very special people. Travis Eldridge is another incredible individual, sense of humor like there's no tomorrow. And all these people are working together, finding the books, exposing these books, so on and so forth. And we are fighting the school board. Right now, there's an election going on. You are the cause, is what this program is about. And you are the cause of this. It's in your hands to vote. So David Nixdorf could have voted to come to our table and join us, but he decided he didn't want to. So finally, after a year plus, he finally put a posting, and I'm going to be reading this, and I'm going to dissect it. And when I dissect it, I know automatically within the first two paragraphs, I believe, I know I'm not going to be happy with what I'm reading. Okay. And I'm going to have to stop it because I could just say, this is bullshit. I very rarely curse, but I'm going to say this from one minister to another. I'm going to say this to him, what he has going on and what he's, written on his page is, in fact, like I said, bullshit. So here we go. Let's get this a little bigger. There we go. So this is from Super Dave, David Nixdorf. This is on his Facebook page. It seems to be an obvious, progressively slanted story on 60 Minutes. I love to see the unedited version. Notice this is his first address to the public about this topic in a nice big long piece in over 12 months. And he says this is only a 60-minute type of story. That's sad. It's reasonable to acknowledge that someone is responsible for selecting materials, setting policies, and restricting materials, and that some materials are simply not appropriate for school-age students. Parents should have a voice of their own children and all children in general. I'm going to stop there. And I'm going to tell you, he says, and I'm going to say bullshit because we told you. It's reasonable to acknowledge that someone, I'll tell you who that someone is. His name is Matt Robinson, David. I've told you this before. We've all told you. Matt Robinson is the superintendent. He has signed off on all of these books through the librarian, Tanya O'Boyle, which again, we told you about both of these ill people, bad people, a year ago. People of leadership in our schools, we told you about them, and you're saying it's reasonable to acknowledge. No, it's there and it got there somehow. And by the way, folks, I am reading his letter, and all I can say is, like Dan Kershaw, who has a PhD in theology, this man has the ability to put together sentences equivalent to probably, again, I think maybe a fourth or fifth grader. But we're going to try and get through this. Presenting well-articulated concerns about objectionable material is necessary. Thank you. The way school boards and administrators, teachers, and librarians are addressed, both privately and publicly, is crucial to being listened to and taken seriously. So what he's saying automatically is, don't listen to any of the parents or the facts or the truths that have been presented. Believe me, we have brought them. You've got to listen and take them serious. So he goes on to write, a storm the gates approach full of insults and haphazard accusations mixed with calling people groomers and porn hustlers will make a spectacle and get attention. Unfortunately, it negatively hurts the goal of removing and restricting materials. No, what that does is it allows the community to wake up, because you wouldn't bring it to your congregation. Your Ministers Alliance group would not bring it to the congregations the flocks that they shepherd. So no, what other way to get attention, dude? Seriously, you could get the attention the way you want, but I personally and my friends get attention the way they wish to handle situations, of which, by the way, I'm probably the brashest one of everyone and the most abrasive. I'm working on my ABCs. What can I say? Abrasive and brash. So this is truly, especially if the one leading the charge is on a personal vendetta trip based on half-truths, deception, and is already known for continual nonsensical attacks against the school administration and the board. I would like to say he's talking about me, and not necessarily Heath Gilbert, who is a writing candidate for the school board this year, or Dan Landy, who's a retired military, retired state trooper, who is also running for the school board here in Cameron, Missouri. Vote for them, please. So I would say that he says it's half-truths. I'm going to tell you flat out, there's no way. We presented a case. Heath Gilbert's First and 14th Amendment rights were violated by the school. I don't know where that's a half-truth. But if a man's rights were violated by a school and a legal team got together to go after the school and set the school record right, that's called a full truth. They lost their battle, David. They lost their battle. We won that little war. So you can continue to call people like myself a spectacle or say that there are half-truths out there, when the fact of the matter is there's no half-truths to 200 books of pornography, David. So he says, I remain convinced that the approach taken only created increasing chaos to no real solution. In fact, I'm not sure an honest solution was ever the goal. The goal seems to be chaos and anarchy. David, those are mighty strong words, chaos and anarchy. No, It's called protecting the children's innocence the best we can. It's called having our tax dollars spent in areas where it should be, like in education and not on emotional, social learning, or on all sports with kids that can have 6 D's and 1 F can play a sport of football. 6 D's and 1 F, you can play a sport of football. But if you have 5 D's and 2 F's, you cannot play football. Wow, you guys really have placed a good high bar and standard for these young men to play a sport of football, to say, yep, I can't spell my name. I can't write at all. I'm not sure, but I think 3 plus 4 equals 9. At least I was told all my answers in math are correct. Seriously, the GPAs of these students are like near 50%. So they say it creates, or that that we're increasing the chaos with no real solution. Yeah, we have real solution. Spend the money on the education. Stop doing the BS crap that you're doing to our kids, indoctrinating them, and start putting up bars for the kids to get good grade point averages. So he says, I'm 100% for removing sexually explicit material from the public school libraries. I am also 100% against the hate-filled, dishonest, and haphazard tactics used by some to berate, shame, and threaten the school into submission. Well, I must tell you, there's no hate here. No one's been dishonest. There's not been even a haphazard tactic. There's a thing on a policy in the school. It's called the Sunshine Law Requests. And there's rules and regulations and policies that are put into place, David. And let me tell you about some of them. With the Sunshine Law Request, and you're looking for material or information, you have 3 days to wait for it. You got to give them 3 days to answer your question. When they turn around and do not answer your question 20 plus times, closer to 30, maybe even 30 plus times, and I'm not exaggerating on one person that I know of in particular, is over 30 times, it's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating because they're not playing the game right, David. You need to get your facts straight here. You're 100% against the hate-filled, dishonest, and haphazard tactics. There are none. Call it what it is. They're grooming children with homosexuality. You say you're okay with removing the books from the school, but you're okay with us. You're not okay with us saying that that's what they're doing, that they're pushing homosexuality. And you know what? I have nothing against homosexuality. Doesn't live in my world. I've got friends that are gay. They know how I feel. I'm cool with them. That's it. That's it. It's called respect. That's what it comes down to. So the first thing you need to do is look at respect, David. From your letter so far, there is no respect for others and very little to none for yourself. So I'm going to continue. Are there ideologies and materials I agree with within the public school system? Absolutely. However, I do not believe the school board is filled with progressive zealots trying to force feed sexually explicit material, nor do I believe that they are unwilling to listen and act. Okay, one more time. Many teachers, but one in particular, the librarian, because we've got that one, we snared that one, had a TikTok video bribing children with candy to read pornography before it's going to be banned, distributed at the public high school library, paid for by the tax-paying citizens. 100% truth. So stop it, David. Stop it. You need to stop. We have a woman that's running this time around again for another term. Peck, Jackie Peck, Jackie Peck has been there for 8 years, I believe. Jackie Peck has not made one peep. Peck has not given a peep about the porn at all. Not one statement have I heard her say anything about it in 18 months of going to school board meetings. I've missed maybe 3, but not one peep out of Peck about porn. None. We don't need a rubber stamper. We don't need someone to go who gets along to go along. We don't need that. We need change. So, you say, or you continue, while I would prefer swifter and clearer action, I believe the current tactics place the school and the board on an unnecessary defense trajectory, requiring them to navigate difficult, unnecessary, and costly legal action. Hey, you moron, again, I'm going to repeat. David, his constitutional rights were violated. Heath Gilbert was banned and trespassed from school wrongfully. His First and 14th Amendment rights were violated, you fool. And by the way, when did you become a preacher? Like 3 years ago, right? I'm going to tell you something, man. You didn't pay attention. I hope this gets to your face so you can understand it. Heath Gilbert had his First and 14th constitutional rights wronged. He sued. He won because the school board was 100% wrong. So now you don't like civics. Now you don't like our Constitution. David, you've got some issues here, buddy. And by the way, folks, I never even read, I don't believe I even really read through this but once. And I mean, just a gloss over, like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. So he continues on, and unnecessary and costly legal action. No. They protected themselves and you supported them. Anyway, getting back to the letter. I contested from the start that there was a better way. Crickets. However, better ways were tossed aside for chaotic rhetoric and endless drum beating. Oh, it still goes on because we have a truth. We have a feeling. We have a mission that we believe in. Now that you told us you're 100% against having the books at school, now we want to see you at school board meetings telling them that. It'd be nice to have you speak up to them after 13, 14 months now, David. So here we go. Furthermore, they can cry about it all they want and plead for the good men and pastors to do something. But we know they didn't care to hear our advice or consider our counsel. I have to stop in the middle of that paragraph. That is a 100% lie. They declined, the Ministers Alliance Group of Cameron, Missouri, declined all efforts by myself, Dan Landy, and Heath Gilbert to speak with them in one big meeting. One big meeting with like 16 or 12, 14, 16 of these pastors. We had scheduled meetings even. Wanted to schedule meetings. Couldn't do it. So that right there is a 100% lie coming out of Super David Nixdorf, pastor, minister, brother, whatever you call him, preacher. It's 100% lie. Then he goes on to say, no, sir, they just wanted our endorsement for their predetermined strategy of mayhem and disarray. Again, you're entitled to your opinion, but so far, the mayhem and disarray has gotten books put aside, has gotten some people's butts on the fire, and they know that they're on the fire, and they need to change. Unfortunately, well-meaning good people have gotten dragged into this mess, unaware of the crookedness of the company to which they've affiliated themselves. Again, I've got to tell you, you folks in Cameron, Gallatin, HOA, try all you want. By the way, we've had some major technical difficulties, which I'll get to shortly after this little situation I'm going through with David Nixdorf. We've had really great people working around us, and they've done everything they can to shut this network down, for instance. We're not going anywhere. We really do try to do the right things always. And even when they try to place me under arrest for sexual harassment, which is a felony charge, good for 4 years in prison, $10,000 fine, with no victims, it was the opinion of a deputy to charge me with sexual harassment, a felony, to acquire my DNA, to try to shove me up, get me to plea bargain, which I did, by the way, plea bargain. I was fighting for my name, and got this mess out into the public. And there were no victims. The deputy was not protecting or helping or assisting anyone who was requiring her protection or help at all. She violated my U.S. Code 18 sections 241, 242, 243. She violated my rights. There's going to be a lawsuit coming to a lot of different entities. So I would be probably one of the crooked ones that he's talking about in that little statement, and I'm not getting, I'm going to tell you flat out, not getting we wanted to sit down with it. That never happened at all. So he finally ends it with this last paragraph. Early on, I chose to walk away from this chaos designed group to seek other opportunities to address the issue, and will continue to do so. David, this is the very first time you've ever addressed the issue, which is why I am now giving you this big slot of time to let you know you are a liar. You should not be behind a pulpit, and please don't touch that Bible. It will probably burn your hand. So, the very last two sentences is this. Unfortunately, the damage created by a few has made it increasingly difficult to pursue quality conversations and discussions about the subject. David, again, a huge lie. We have an open forum. We actually had an election debate. Heath Gilbert, Dan Landy was supposed to get together and gather with Chris Parkey, Jackie Peck, Ryan Murphy, and Ryan Lorette. All four of them did not show up for the town hall, for the community gathering, to have the discussion about the election of the school boards. You're a liar, David Nixdorf. I'm calling you flat out. You're a prevaricator. You're a liar. You shouldn't be touching the Bible. This is horrible, what you have written. And the merits of the case have all but gotten lost in the madness. No, the merits of this case have not gotten lost in, as you call it, the madness. Why do you think Dan Landy will be, hopefully, if everything goes well, which I'm praying for, hopefully he's going to be elected into office? I got to tell you, after reading that and really intently on the first time, it kind of really kind of caught me off guard. I just couldn't believe that I would be reading a letter from this clown, and I'm going to call him a clown, Reverend of Cameron, Missouri, at the River of Life Church. He's a bozo. David Nixdorf. And he signs it Super Dave, and all I can say is Super Douche Dave is what you should have signed it, because that's what you are. I don't care that you're a retired MAA fighter. I don't care that you drive the van full of kids to wrestling and you're a wrestling coach, which, by the way, with your driving record, which I showed last week, I do hope you slow it down for the kids. I hope you don't kill yourself or anyone. Speaking of which, a new slap in the face. I didn't get the mug shots together today. I wanted to, but Jimmy Potts, the pillar of the community, the editor of the Cameron Citizens Observer, we finally got his mug shots, and we have got to do something special for Jimmy because he got pulled over again the second time since December the 4th or 6th. I did a show on him on the 6th for sure. And he was driving with no insurance, no registration, no license. This is the city editor. The editor of the city's newspaper, Cameron Citizens Observer. And he gets busted again for driving without a license. That's a real FU to the judge, real FU to the prosecuting attorney. And that man should, hopefully, when we go to court and we see him in court, March 28th, by the way, it's going to be a lot of fun down in Plattsburgh. Bringing Cracker Jacks. That's what I'm bringing. No beverages, just Cracker Jacks. But, it's people like these guys here that are in leadership positions. You've got John Thomas, violation of protective orders. 3 of them. The admin of the Gallatin News and Events Group. You've got all these. You've got John Feiger running for city council. I got to tell you, you only have 3 to pick from, to my knowledge. And Rich Wine, she's too much of a wackadoodle. John, you've been a liar. You stolen my trust, a thief. You stole my trust. You've been a liar. But, I can understand you want to protect your little innocence or your reputation. You don't want to let people know really where you stand, that you've got a real backbone and that you're against this, that, or the other thing. But you did say that you were going to support Heath Gilbert, Dan Landy, and the crew. The Dragon Slayers is what I call them. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. You've got to call these people out because being nice isn't the way to go. But I'm going to now read something that I really thought was special. It was a special piece because it came out of nowhere. And I've read a lot of pieces, and not only did this hit me the right way, but I could go through this because I can't even begin to dispute 1 comma. This is probably the best piece this man will ever write. His name is Quentin Lovejoy. He authored this particular piece. And Quentin and I like Quentin. I respect Quentin's work. He's with Q Views on Facebook. Unfortunately, he doesn't appreciate my abrasion, my abrasiveness, my brash. And again, I'm not for everyone's cup of tea, and I personally don't give a rat's ass. For those of you who don't know this expression, it's called, "'Tis a far better thing to be hated for who you are than to be loved for who you are not." And I'm hated right now for who I am because I'm willing to question people's positions, especially when they censor John Feiger on the Cameron Community Forum or John Thomas of the Gallatin News and Events Group. They censor people. We don't censor here on the Common Denominator Network. Don't get me wrong. We do have rules of which we cannot talk or discuss about certain things because, well, that's the big guys that are doing it to us. Or as Facebook says, you can't say this. Well, I'm going to finish this piece right now. I want to get this piece. It's so beautiful. So, Quentin Lovejoy, a big shout out to you. Again, if you do write a second piece that's as good or better than this, you're very blessed by God. And that's what I mean that. You're truly blessed. So here it goes, folks. Look at this battery. Just imagine in your head you're looking at a car battery, okay? Look at this battery. What do you see? A power source. Something that can give an engine the energy it needs to drive something forward. scientific phenomena at work that we didn't invent, but we learned how to harness and utilize for good. But look a little deeper. What else do you see? I see positive and negative. I see opposing forces working against one another to create the spark needed for the system as a whole to work in order to reach an overall objective. I would challenge anyone to look at the April elections similar to how I look at this battery. Candidates for Cameron School Board need to be supportive of those who have entered a thankless position and build up the kids in our community. But they also need to be honest enough to understand this isn't the high school pep rally in the gym on Friday afternoon. There are serious problems in society, and a lot of them stem from our schools. Dusko, the dolphin, is dead. Patch the pony has been put out to pasture. This isn't 1974 or 1984 or 1994, where the biggest problem was kids ditching classes or smoking in the boys' room. This is 2024, a time in which dark forces are at work to destroy our next several generations. Grown men are gaining access to our girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. They are competing against them in sports, injuring them on a weekly basis. Remember, we have a former teacher rightfully rotting away in the prison cell this very second because administrators and the school board simply didn't comprehend the fact that such evil as he could exist within the halls of our school. Do we need positives and teamwork? Of course. Do we need negativity? Yes. The battery doesn't work without both forces, and the engine doesn't run without the battery. If you study any high performer in sports, business, or entertainment, you'll find that the dark side drove them even harder than the positive side. Michael Jordan took a perceived slight from an opposing team's head coach at a restaurant and turned it into one of the most dominating postseason performances in NBA history in the following night's game. My friend Andy Frisella took the disfigurement of being stabbed in the face dozens of times and built a multi-billion-dollar empire from it. Without the negatives in the lives of these men, both real and perceived, they would never become the greats they are. Only positive or only negative will short the circuit and shut down the power source. As much as we'd like this to be the powder puff game on homecoming week, it isn't. There are real problems our school board needs to deal with. Those problems can't be seen on TV and social media every single day. And the school board will need to tackle them proactively so they can be ready when, not if, they come to Cameron. And as much as a negative current wants to tackle these issues in a way resembling what the ratings-driven clowns on the news channels shove in our faces, they could also embrace what's good about Cameron and its teachers, parents, and administrators. Positive and negatives. Equally important to create a power source. Be brave enough, honest enough to acknowledge both and to use them as a solution to the school district's many problems. You know, it seems like I have been bashing, and I have. I've been bringing to light. I've been showing the vile evil. And again, they wanted to throw me in jail. I mean, this was serious. This was dead serious. Am I a sexual predator of any sort? Absolutely not. Can I say this on here like that? Of course I can. I don't get how people can go off the deep end. This David Nixdorf says at one point, wanting to work with us, not one time ever did he ever want to work with us. But David, I would still welcome you to the table, but you just need to bring your cards back down and say it the way it really is. We pleaded to speak to you. You didn't want to hear it. The teachers at the Cameron School District that I'm aware of, the little bit that I know, I believe in my heart of hearts, do have the right intentions. I remember almost every single one of my teachers. And I've told stories about them. That's how impressive they were in my life. And some of them, he points out, that coach that I'm going to say it for basically berated, I guess, or put down Jordan for, at a moment in a restaurant. The next night, Jordan cleaned house and set performance records or whatever. Sometimes we can take bad situations and make them better. I myself haven't gone through this, and I'm going to be looking at suing so many entities. So many, including the state of Missouri. Yeah, I'm ballsy enough to say that. I intend to sue the state as well. Need to find an attorney. Anyone out there that knows an attorney that knows about constitutional law, believe me, the slam dunk. And I'm pissed. I'm real pissed. But, I'm talking to a gentleman right now, and now this is where you are the causes. You are the one that makes a difference. There's a gentleman right now that I'm speaking about in Canada. He has made a huge impression on my life in a matter of 3 to 4 months. Encouraging, inspiring, thoughtful, knowledgeable, intelligent, with much wisdom. And that's a whole problem, folks. There's not many of those type of people rolling around. But believe it or not, there are quite a few of us. Yeah, I said us. The thing is, you've got to decide what you want to do. We took a pause from the cause last week to listen to about all of these leaders of position that don't belong there, that have pulled the blinders. Matt Robinson, you should not be the superintendent. John Thomas, you should step down from being the admin. Censor queen of the Gallatin News and Events Group. Gallatin, Missouri News and Events Group. John Feiger, go back to the way it was. Come on, man. We know you've got it in you. Just come out and just do the right thing. Do the right thing. Stop censoring. Another one that's a queen. President Douglas Winter, step down. Step down from your position. You shouldn't be touching money at all. Jimmy Potts, editor of the Citizen Cameron Observer, I hope the judge throws a book at you. I hope you get your just desserts, because you didn't do your job with seven front pages now, articles that I've seen of people who are convicted felons of heinous crimes, from driving 100 miles an hour with a baby in the back seat to all kinds of sexual stuff. rapes, assaults. And you never put their pictures on the front page. Put mine on there. I wasn't happy, and you know damn right well I wasn't. At all. And you put a very horrible hit piece. And again, you are way too biased to be an editor. You should be ashamed of yourself. But you don't do the public service announcement, the PSA, in letting people see who the real true criminals are. So they can beware if they're in a Walmart and they see this guy that's acting strange. You don't want to protect the public. Notice what I just said. These people are all in high positions. They are supposed to be our leaders. And when our leadership fails us, like they have miserably, I'm going to go back to Matt Robinson just for David the douche Nixdorf, pastor, whatever you are. I'm going to tell you something, bozo. Matt Robinson has signed all the checks in that school. Don't you know that? He is the end-all, be-all. What he says is tyrannical rule of dictatorship. He can help parents, but he doesn't want to. He only helps the numbers, the money game. And he is the one who signed off David Nixdorf on all the pornography in the Cameron High School. He signed off with it through his librarian who requested it and signed off on it as well to place it on the shelves. It's that simple. Come on, folks. We know who the culprits are. Yank them out. Fire them. Terminate them. They've broken Missouri statutes and laws. They should go to jail for a year. They should be fined up to $2,000. And as a participation award, they should be able to sign up on the sexual predators list and not be around children ever again or in the educational system. Will the prosecuting attorney, Brandy McCain, do her job in Plattsburgh? No. Did the sheriff Fish at least write up an official report for it to be turned down, do his job? Nope. Because he knew the prosecuting attorney wasn't going to push it. Everyone is in everyone's pocket, folks, somewhere along the line. And we've got to break the links. You are the cause, folks. You are in a position you can break those links. You can break these links that are binding us. It's up to you. You've got to vote. Now, I want to end with some of the little names. I'm not going to, they're so insignificant. But I'm going to tell you why they're so insignificant. They're just significant enough to mention because haters will be haters. Haters will be haters. So in the Facebook world of social media, all these names I'm about ready to give you, they're in there. They're in there somewhere along the line. You can search them up. I would probably say strongly stay away from them. But people like this are not positive thinkers. So they go onto a page that they don't like and they become disruptors. They use really, the words I heard, stuff I heard about me. Unbelievable. But sticks and stones will break my bones and names will never hurt me. I've been called every flipping name under the book. You think there's one? Give me one name I haven't heard. And I'll give you $100 bill. Call me a name that I haven't heard. And I'll give you $100 bill. I've been called every name under the sun. Both good and bad. So, I'm going to start with this one. My future ex-wife, her name is Nicole Foster. She speaks about voter integrity. I found on her record in 1 year, now there's a possibility that she could have moved from one address to another, but she had 2 voter cards in 1 year. 2 voter cards. And was one different from the other? Yep, by the address. But the thing that caught my attention was this. Both of those photo cards, it wasn't like one was picked up in February and the other one maybe in November because she moved. They were both given to her on the same day with the same date. That doesn't make sense. Someone try to make sense of that for me. How is it that you have a voter card in the year, hypothetically, in this case, I believe it was 2008. How do you have two voter cards with the same date and year with different addresses? Something's going wrong. Something's going wrong. Dan Kershaw, I spoke of you earlier. You are, yeah, I've had a couple of my friends say, boy, I'll bet Dan Kershaw kicks himself in the butt for not pushing that restraining order on you, Vince. I bet he does too. I bet he does too. Was he ever in fear of anything? No, that's called a lie. There was nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of at all, believe it or not. And this person wants to abuse his power and put a restraining order on someone, in this case, me. Again, first line of his paperwork said, this is going from my memory, I think I've got it down to a science, I only met the respondent one time. And the very last sentence was, I am in fear of him stalking me to school board meetings. The rest of the stuff in the center of it, outside of gibberish, blah, 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 poor handwriting, the whole 9 yards, meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. So, Dan, you can be a hater of the group. That's your prerogative. You should have been a solution. David Nixdorf, your little friend here, Dan Kershaw, should have been a part of the solution. Yeah, the Dicketts. There's a family called the Dicketts. What a weird couple. I mean, very strange couple. But they just want to stir the pot. And people want to stir the pot. For instance, the signs, some of the signs we actually hand build, a group of us, a large group of us, put together these beautiful signs for Dan Landy for the school board. And, they complain because there's no little address on the sign. Or signs are too big for residential area. You cannot believe. And yet it's funny. We, Dan Landy, and I call them the Dragon Slaying Crew, we are playing by the rules while others are not addressing their sign issues that aren't, signs are too big for their residential properties. You have got to be the cause. I took a pause for the cause last week, a pause for you people to give you an idea of what leadership we have within this small little 20-mile, I'm going to say 30-mile radius. That's just 30 miles. We've got all these corrupt, evil people doing ugly, ugly things. And a couple bad people. Don't want to say they're all evil, they're not up to snuff. Quite a few of them should even be where they're at. And they are evil. So, there's a gentleman, an old man, Michael Ray Thomas. I don't know how many names you have, aliases. I think it was 20 infractions and all kinds of stuff going on. But, sometimes when you live alone, you crazy old coot, that's what you become, just a crazy old coot. If you can't be part of the solution, stop being part of the problem. I do what I can to inform, analyze, educate, pass on to people information that, is crucial for life. But really, when it comes down to it, we are looking at this year. You are the cause. Your life matters. You matter. You can't, you can either go one way or the other. Quentin put it so well. Positive, negative. You're either a positive entity or you're a negative entity. Personally, for myself, I do my very best to be positive. But when I'm faced with negativity, I get just as negative with them as well. A lot of people say, well, you should watch what you say or how you say things in emails, using vulgarity or whatever. No, that's best for me to do it that way. This way here, when I do speak to them face to face, I never drop any bombs. I try to be that cool cucumber. Even though I want to jack someone up. I mean, just give them a kisser. To the moon. But it's against the law. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. And rightfully so. Unless, of course, it's protecting yourself. So you may just push some people's buttons and get them to feel froggy. Flip a switch, whatever, lever, and they go at you. You got to protect yourself. Remember, never, ever, ever swing first. Never swing first. You'll do better just to diffuse the situation if possible. And if they do feel froggy, then the best thing you can do is just know you have to prepare yourself to block and hit. That's it. And hopefully you get the better hit in. Sometimes you just don't see it coming, folks. I did not see this coming a year and a half ago. I did not see where I was so in tune with politics and news and all this stuff that I could not believe that happened. It was happening in our communities. Little Cameron, a podunk town in the middle of technically nowhere. 12,000 people. Not a large population. Not at all. This year is the most crucial year to vote. Oh, that little update on the governorship. I actually did want to run for governor of Missouri with the Constitution Party. My credential paperwork came back, or should I say it was viewed, and I had 19 loaded questions I felt were loaded. They could have gone one way or the other, depending on. The first question was about abortion. Constitutionalists are 100% against abortion. Pro-life, 100% all the way down the line. This is where fairness comes in. This is where honesty comes in. This is where knowledge comes in. Well, 1.67% of all abortions are from rape, incest, molestation, or a mother's life is in danger of the pregnancy. 1.67%. Do I think that a woman should have that choice as to whether or not she wants to carry a child of a criminal that just raped her? And I don't care if it's rape no matter what way you cut it. Father, brother, uncle, cousin, whatever, friend, it's rape. If they don't want that child, they should be allowed to abort it. They should have that choice because their body goes through that change, and it's a horrible, horrible, horrible situation, I'm sure. And I would never judge. Now, the other 98.3%, it's for birth control. So that's the stats for that. So they said, no, there's no way, because I would get caught up probably in a conference somewhere, an interview or whatever. How do you feel about birth control? Well, this is what I feel. They're like, well, wait a second. You guys are 100% against it. Well, difference of opinion. I'm going to look into no labels. Who knows, man? I'll just spend the $500, put my name on the ballot anyway. Do it as a write-in. I don't give a rat's ass. But the bottom line is we need change. And yes, I do have some very big plans if I were governor. Big plans. No problem. Great group of people around me, too. Wonderful group. But seriously speaking, it's us, it's you who are the cause. Your vote is going to matter more now than ever before. And we're looking at problems. We're going to be looking at problems on this election. Again, like we did 4 years ago, when the election was in fact stolen. It was corrupted. This whole situation was bad. Hopefully we will learn something from it. And hopefully it's not too late. In the meantime, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. We had a lot of major difficulties for several weeks. Almost 2 months now, we were hacked. And we weren't getting our programs out. So that's why I'm not kind of too excited. And I'm just kind of like really lowballing and relaxing through this program. Because I'm hoping to hit it hot and heavy and hard next week with some interviews starting back up with people. But the fact of the matter is, we've had to actually set up a whole new Facebook page, The Common Denominator Network, The Common Denominator Network, The Paramystic Broadcast Channel. And hopefully, if everything goes well, we're going to be back on track of having our telephone call-in line. Give us a holler. Love to hear from you. I didn't even get to see this. Now I'm thinking about it. Oh, here we go. Godfather, make that 174. Okay, I got you. Wow, Heath is on here. Oh, boy, I cannot believe I have not. This is where I wish I would have had a run-in of watching these go down. Hey, Vince, all that stuff, you don't just have to talk about the local stuff, especially the HOA stuff. Okay, guy came out in a new video, and haven't watched it yet. Okay. But you have a license and you're going to have no insurance. Actually, I just love good chat. Thank you for being on here, dude. This is too funny. Did not even realize that you guys were on here talking so much. But I want to thank you. Again, it's been a very funky couple of weeks now, transitioning back to where I know I want to be. But our network's growing and our people are getting better. We're presenting more shows. And that's what matters the most. So if you have an idea and if you want to come on one of our programs, please be our guest. We have several different programs. Let me think. I'm going to go here and look at I think it's the banners. Oh, no, brand. Here we go. There you go. Right there, you can get all the programs you want, and there's more coming, I assure you. We want you to call in. We want your input and want you to know that we're doing this because we like doing what we're doing. We're doing this because it's a must to get the message and the word out. We give free ammo on this network. Free ammo. Alternative mass media outlet. The logbook, all about the veterans. Beautiful. Dakota and Kimberly Moyers on the logbook. Catch them on Friday nights. They're a hit and miss, but they're doing some great things. Friday nights is logbook. And as you can see, we've got Truck It on Tuesdays. And we just started a new program to what's really going on in America on Tuesdays as well. That's a double header. And all of these spiritually moving programs, Aid, Sally, Anita, Yokia, just incredible programs coming out. Dave is hitting us with cyber warfare. I got to tell you, if you're not familiar with computers and you have questions about the computer, Don Corleone, Science Warfare Fridays. He's doing his show tomorrow night, in fact. But come check us out. We're going to get bigger. We're going to get brighter. We're going to end all this. And hopefully things are going to change for the better. In the meantime, I'm out of here. And I'm going to say good night, folks.
time, a generation of my time.